Hey guys, welcome to my fifth video for Money May Scouts. Today we're going to be breaking down the film on Kentucky grad student Koby Brea. Brea is 22 years old and is from Washington Heights, New York. He had a very solid season this year for Kentucky. He was just under being a 50-40-90 guy, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, half a turnover, half a steal, and zero point 0.3 blocks per game. He shot 47% from the field, 44% from 3, and made over 2.5 threes a game. He also shot 91% from the free throw line. The trait that separates Koby Brea from other prospects in this draft is his shooting. Off the catch, off the dribble, coming off screens, even in the mid-range, he shoots the ball at an incredibly high level. Koby Brea transferred to Kentucky from Dayton for his final college basketball season after leading the country in three-point percentage at 50% on 3 makes a game. This year, Brea came into the SEC and still shot the ball at a high level at 44% from 3 against much stronger competition. His catch and shoot threes will be the first strength of his that I want to discuss. Brea usually has to work very hard to get open, but here he's open on the break and shows no hesitation on his 3, showcasing his high release point. On this one, Brea is in the right position on the tap out, steps in confidently, and knocks down the shot with 2 guys closing out. Here, Brea leaks out after the miss, receives the pass, and knocks down the transition catch and shoot 3. One of the ways Brea has been able to find success with teams keen in on his shooting is with his ability to shoot threes off the dribble. Here, Brea pulls back his dribble, sees his man's hands are down, and shoots it right over him, showcasing his range on the deep 3. On this next play, Brea gets the kick out, shot fakes, Pettiford jumps right past him, he then takes a dribble to the side and pulls this 3 over the new defender. Here, Brea does an excellent job to create space after receiving the handoff. He feels Baker Mazzara trying to catch up and pulls his dribble back, stepping back in the process, and knocks down the nice 3. Brea has great patience to shake his man off him after a few hard fakes. He receives the handoff, steps back, ball fakes, rotates his body over to the left slightly to avoid the contest, and then cans the 3. Here, Brea forces a switch on the roll, changes his dribble back to his left by going through the legs, takes one more dribble to the left, sees his man's hands are down, and rises up over him for the hit. Another way Brea gets his threes off is by coming off screens. Here, Brea does a good job working his man in and coming off the screen fast and tight. He then catches it, squares his shoulders well, and knocks down the 3. Here, Brea comes off the screen for a handoff, gives a simple shot fake to lose Pettiford, takes one dribble to his left, and knocks the 3 down. On this one, Brea is patient, waiting for Carr to screen him on this action. He then comes off fast and tight and knocks the 3 down off the curl. Brea can also hit threes off of ball screens. Here he uses one from his teammate, which knocks Jonas off his path, and then Brea hits a great pull-up 3. Brea's next strength is his mid-range pull-up game, which is very important for when teams try to run him off the three-point line. On this play, Brea did a good job of creating some space before receiving the handoff. He takes one dribble towards the baseline and displays great balance on the pull-up. Here, Brea comes off Chandler's screen well, receives the handoff, and gets to the mid-range after seeing the Illinois big and drop coverage. Brea does a good job coming off this ball screen closely, locating this man, understanding his shot won't be affected, and rising up to hit the midi. Brea's dribbles were purposeful here to retreat and then shake Boswell off him to use the ball screen. He then utilizes a great ball fake to get Boswell to fly by and then cans the shot. Similar to the pull-up game, the ability for Brea to get downhill is also a good tool to have for when teams run him off the line. Here, Brea receives the handoff. He pauses after his dribble to see if the big will stick with him or the roller. The big chooses the roller, and Brea lays it in himself. This was a great take by Brea near the end of the shot clock. He uses his larger frame to make his way past Pettiford, and he gets fouled on the layup attempt. On this play, Brea gets Jonas to open his hips middle off the dribble, then accelerates past him, gathers his dribble, and finishes the left-hand layup. On this one, Brea comes off these screens tight for the handoff and displays excellent touch on the runner. Moving past scoring, the next strength of Brea's is his decision-making. Brea turned the ball over once about every 60 minutes he was on the court this past season. He takes care of the ball well and is a better playmaker than people give him credit for. Brea attacks his closeout well, putting his defender off center with the quick jab fake. He then rips middle and finds Carr nicely under the basket where he gets fouled. Brea makes a nice read after rejecting the ball screen. He gets down to the short corner, comes to 2 feet and sees Butler cutting baseline, dumping it off to him, and Kentucky gets the goaltending call. After rejecting the screen, Brea ball fakes to get the 2 Auburn defenders in the air, shifts his body and sees Pettiford guarding 2 guys, and makes the pass to Noah right in the shooter's pocket for a good look. Here, Brea makes an excellent transition pass. He puts the ball between 2 Illinois defenders to hit Williams and stride for the dunk. This was a good read by Brea off the ball screen. He gets the defense to rotate over to the roller with his eyes in the ball fake, and then swings it to Carr for the open 3. One aspect of Brea's game that is attractive to NBA teams is his ability to move without the basketball. An element of that is Brea's cutting, which is the last strength we will discuss. Brea did a really good job of adapting to the overplay on the stagger action and slipping to the hoop. He was open, but the pass was off the mark. Brea sees that his man's eyes are not on him. When Williams comes to 2, he cuts, receives the pass, and slams it home. Brea displays great change of speed on the cut to get himself open, catches, and finishes the layup well. This was a great backdoor cut by Brea. He gets very wide open on the reverse, but he misses it. Probably a shot he'd make 99 times out of 100. Moving on to the development areas for Brea, the first thing I imagine that's notable is that there aren't a lot of traits listed here. Brea has other areas that he could be stronger in, such as his defensive versatility, but for what Brea is going to be asked to do in NBA, this listing makes sense. Not every player coming into the draft is going to be a 3-level ISO scorer that's also super athletic. Brea is going to be asked to make threes at a high level, make smart decisions, and play solid defense. 2 to 3 being strengths of his already. So while there are other traits he could possess, these are the areas needed for him to improve on in order to help fill this role at the next level. The first trait that is worth discussing is his consistency defensively. Brea is not a bad defender by any means. In fact, he had quite a bit of good defensive sequences in the games that I watched, but he also had a fair amount of rough plays on that end. Limiting the mishaps and finding more consistency and even just being a solid defender will allow him to find success in the league. This first section will show both positive and negative plays in different defensive situations to display this inconsistency. Brea needs to get up into the ball handler more before the screen. Instead, he makes himself easily screenable by being detached, and Georgia gets a good look. Later on in this Georgia game, Brea does a good job of going towards the ball handler before getting around the screen, making his recovery quicker. I don't think Brea fought through this off-ball screen hard at all. He needs to have more urgency to get through once he feels that contact. Ole Miss gets a good look here. Brea has shown he could get through off-ball screens well though, as we see with him slipping around these two screens and being with his man on the catch. Here we start with the positive, as Brea is a step behind Ziegler on the handoff, but he recovers well to time up the block. Later on though, Brea gets switched on to Ziegler after the ball screen. Ziegler does a push cross right, then crosses back left, getting by Brea and finishing at the rim. Here we see Brea give a good stun from help side, getting Ziegler to pick up his dribble. Brea's teammate then swipes the ball from him. Brea was not attentive off ball here. He has to stun on this driver. Instead, he lets him take his teammate one-on-one off the dribble, where he scores. Brea gets shook off ball and is lost by the flare out. Brea tries to jump it in the direction of the screener while the Tennessee shooter goes corner. Luckily, he misses. Brea does a much better job sticking to the Tennessee player and not biting on any misdirection to try and shake him. He fights through all the screens well too. The next area of improvement for Brea is that he sometimes has a tendency to over-dribble. Here, Brea has a big switch onto him after the handoff. I understand he wants to attack the mismatch, but if you can't generate the space you need on the first few dribbles, the ball needs to be swung. On this play, I understand Brea is trying to get to his spot off the dribble, but it takes too long to develop. I'd like to see him give up the ball sooner. On this play, Brea over-dribbles trying to set up the ball screen on Boswell. I think he would have been better off swinging it and getting into a quicker action. On this play, Brea puts himself and his team in a tough position. I was alright with his dribbles when he was trying to use the ball screen, but afterwards he dug himself a hole trying to attack the Tennessee big out of the corner. He ends up making a pass that gives his teammate a grenade at the end of the shot clock. The last development area to discuss is Brea's quickness on both ends of the court. On this one, Brea couldn't create much off the dribble. He ripped left, bodied his man up, and tried to utilize the screen all in the same guy and was not able to generate any space. He ends up passing the ball out. Brea tries to create one-on-one here but has no luck. He couldn't create much space off the dribble even with the bump and is forced to pass it off. After getting through the screen, Brea gets taken off the rip by Padula. Brea trails him after biting on the jab fake and is unable to come from behind for the block as Padula finishes the reverse. Here Brea is sucked in by the offensive rebound and is late to rotate out to the perimeter. His man easily rips him and finishes at the hoop. Moving on to the last part of the video, let's look into how Koby Brea's game will translate to the NBA. As mentioned earlier, while he does need to work on his consistency on the defensive end amongst other areas, Brea's ability to shoot the ball in a multitude of ways makes him a very attractive target for NBA teams in the second round of this draft. So what teams would be a good fit? The first team I believe would be a good fit would be Charlotte with either pick 33 or 34. This may be a bit early in terms of his projection as he is seen as mainly a mid-second rounder, but they could very much benefit from a knockdown catch and shoot shooter on their roster. Right now, the closest player to have to fill in that role is Josh Green, who, don't get me wrong, had some good splits this year at just under 40%, but he isn't as versatile of a shooter as Brea. Regardless, they could benefit from adding another efficient shooter to the roster. The second team I believe would make sense is the Bulls at 45. The Bulls shot the third most amount of threes in the league this season, but were only middle of the pack in three-point percentage. They want to put those shots up, but don't have the best shooters to do that besides Coby White. They did add Kevin Huerter, who shot the ball better when he was with the Bulls, but still had a down year as a whole, shooting the ball at just under 34%. I think Brea would be their most reliable shooter on the roster outside of Coby White from day one. The last team I think would be a good fit for Brea would be with Orlando at pick 46. Orlando thought adding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would help fix their poor shooting numbers from the year before, but they were the worst team in the league this year in three-point percentage, shooting the ball at just under 32%. I believe Brea is the best shooter in this class. If he is available at this stage of the draft, this pick should be a no-brainer for the Magic to address their needs. That's all I got on Koby Brea. If you made it to this point, thank you for watching my 5th scouting video. I look forward to working on my next scouting breakdown soon.